Change your heart, change your life, change the planet.
Good morning, everybody. It's 6 a.m. My alarm just went off, and I'm supposed to meet a friend for a run at 6:30. I normally don't run before 11 a.m., so I'm not too pumped, and it's raining outside. It's raining all night. I'm really tired. I'm comfy in bed, and I got my little kitty, Wolfie, here next to me. And she doesn't want me to go either, do you, Wolf? But I committed to going, so I'm gonna get ready and walk myself through the process and maybe take you along for the ride. It's now 7 o'clock. I've been sitting here parked at the trailhead for about half an hour. My buddy hasn't shown up. I texted him, haven't heard back. So I've been sitting here listening to The Honest Truth About Dishonesty by Dan Ariely, his third book. I really liked his first two books, Predictably Irrational and The Upside of Irrationality. Good stuff in there. Anyway, it's been raining. It's tapered off right now. It's not really raining. It looks like a little break, but I'm procrastinating as I sit here. I've just been sitting and listening, thinking that my friend is probably blowing me off because of the rain. He got up and looked outside and said, I don't want to run in that. And I didn't either, but I'd committed to him, so I came out here. So now I'm thinking, okay, a little break in the clouds. Do I go run the loop? It's going to be really muddy. There's going to be about 2,700 feet of climbing. Do I really want to go out there and get wet right now? Even though it's not raining, it will probably start up again, and my legs and feet are going to be drenched running through the wet grass and mud. So I'm not really excited to get out of the car. I could just sit here and listen to the book for another couple hours or take a nap here in the car. I think I may go to my studio and maybe hop on the spin bike and avoid the rain. But I don't think this run is going to happen. Not feeling it. But at least I got up. I got out. It's early. If I can get a spin bike done early in the day, that will really be good. It's now almost 7:30, and I've been at the studio for like 20 minutes, and the further away I get from the trailhead in my mind, the less I want to do. So now that I'm here, I have no interest in hopping on the spin bike. In fact, I feel like taking a nap on the couch and maybe waking up later and doing something. And I was about to lie down when I got a text a minute ago from my buddy, who's all apologetic. He's like, oh no, my alarm didn't go off and I really want to go. And so I texted him back and I was like, are you sure you still want to run? Are you still pumped? And he said yes. So again, I don't want to let him down. I don't want to look like the guy who bails on the run just because it's raining or just because it's up a mountain. So there's part of my identity that's trying to protect itself right now. Who am I? Who is Tim Van Orden? Isn't he the guy that runs no matter what? Isn't he the guy that runs in the snow when it's 20 below zero? He's scared of a little rain? He doesn't feel like getting out? He can't even get on his spin bike? Are you kidding me? It's not the Tim Van Orden that I know. Well, it is the Tim Van Orden that I know. People think that because I've been doing this for a really long time that the obstacles don't even bother me anymore, but I have to go through negotiations every day, and that's what this morning has been about. When my buddy responded to my text the other day when I invited him to go running, he's like, yeah, I can do it, but I have to leave at 6:30. I was like, oh crap. I almost never get up before 9. So here I am right now in this moment. What do I do? Do I go? Do I get wet? Do I go try to protect my identity by showing that I can man up? Or do I find a way to let that identity go and just be open to the experience? and also look backward and see how many runs I've done in the past that appeared like they were going to be miserable by looking out the window, but once I did them, it was almost always a positive experience that I'm really glad that I engaged in. So I'm gonna head back to the trailhead and get wet, go for a run up a mountain, and be social. Just that alone is really hard for me. Again, I'm an introvert with social anxiety, so spending a lot of time with someone, there's a part of me that feels like I need to carry a conversation, and nobody's putting that on me. That's something I put on myself. So that's another step for me that I have to negotiate with on a regular basis. So here we go. The day begins. The run is done. We were out there for over 2 hours, 10 miles, and about 2,700 feet of climbing. We got soaking wet, but it didn't matter. It was enjoyable. The rain let up about 3/4 of the way through, but we got drenched right in the beginning, so we got used to it. We were talking, we were having a good time, and we didn't mind the mud, we didn't mind the rain. All of the things that I was predicting were going to make me miserable, none of them made me miserable. I enjoyed this run just as much as I would enjoy any other run. Beautiful, perfect, clear sky, sunny day, nice and warm, cool breeze, whatever the conditions that I may look outside and say, yeah, this is the perfect day to run. My run today was no worse than those, and those runs were no better than this one. I am drenched. My shirt is like sticking to me all over the place. I don't care. I had a great time. So the moral of this story is this. We are storytelling creatures. We tell ourselves stories all the time. In fact, that's a huge part of what our brain does. It tells us stories. And the story that I told myself was, number one, I don't want to be up at 6:30 and going for a run. Number two, I'm not really comfortable running with somebody else because I can't listen to a book and I have to talk. Not so good. And my God, it's raining. Miserable. So when my buddy didn't show up, I started telling myself a story of, I don't really want to do this anyway. This is not going to be enjoyable. I can put it off till later, or I just won't do it at all. It's okay if I miss a day. It's not going to kill me if I miss a day. It's not going to disrupt my training or my future plans if I miss a day. But how many of those missed days do we take? And how big of a chunk of inactivity do they create when we add them all up? And how does that big gap of inactivity keep us from getting what we want in life? So we did the run. We got drenched. I was out early. I was talking to somebody, and I had a great time. So the stories that I was telling myself about how awful this experience was going to be were not accurate. What they were was an attempt by my brain to justify and validate the feelings that I had of avoidance. The feelings that I had that this was going to be a terrible experience, and I really don't have the energy to put myself through that right now. I can't do it. But the moment that I committed to my friend, I showed up at 6:30. And then the moment he texted me back, I came back to the trailhead again, and I was willing to get wet because of him. Had he not showed up, I probably would have taken a nap in the studio and maybe done spin bike at 11, or maybe not at all. I might have taken the day off. I don't know. It was one of those days. I just wasn't feeling it. But now I'm done, and I feel great. And if the worst thing that's going to happen to me today is that I get wet, it's a pretty good day. I mean, most people get wet every day in the shower, but that's under our control. We don't mind that. But when we're out here and it's not under our control, suddenly getting rained on and being in the shower are two dramatically different experiences in our head. But in reality, I just took a shower without soap. So again, I'm learning the lesson that even though I have this incredible habit of getting myself to exercise, I still have these stories in my head. I still try to talk myself out of things because that's what the human brain does. If I go to the studio and I take a nap, my brain is going to find a way to make that the best choice. It's going to come up with a story. It's going to bend the rules or fudge the facts a little bit to make that the right choice. And we do this all the time. Why am I eating this crappy food? Well, because I worked really hard. I earned it. I deserve this. Why am I getting drunk? Because I had a really hard week. I earned this. We make it a positive thing. And I'm not trying to come off like I'm perfect, and I never do that, because I'm admitting to you right now that this is what I did a couple hours ago. I was coming up with positive reasons not to go out and run in the rain. I had a great story going. But that story had nothing to do with reality. That story was just my brain's attempt to feel good about not taking action so that my self-concept could still be protected and I could feel good about myself not engaging in something that's going to move me towards a goal because it's going to be uncomfortable. But here I am, I'm soaking wet, I just ran up a mountain. I'm not really that uncomfortable. In fact, we forgot about the rain in 10 minutes of the run. We were just chatting away. And even the conversation, I was so scared of holding a conversation for that extended period of time, but we had a blast. It was nice. And that's an ant on my leg, not a tick. Okay. But the things that I feared, they weren't justified. Had I gotten out of the car and allowed myself to get wet and done an experiment to see, okay, is this experience of getting wet more than I can handle? No, I can handle that. But I didn't do that. I started coming up with a story before I even tried the experiment, before I even tested my theory or validated my fear, put my fear to the test. I came up with a story why going back and taking a nap was the best choice. So the next time you find yourself avoiding something that you think you should do or know you should do because it's going to move you towards your goal, realize that the stories that you're telling yourself are a constructed narrative and they're not based on objective reality. Not that we can ever truly experience objective reality, but we can get closer to it. And most of the time, we're living in a narrative, we're living in a construct that's designed to keep us feeling good about ourselves, even when we're behaving in ways that are in conflict with the person that we believe ourselves to be, or in conflict with the person that we would like to be. One of my favorite thinkers and thought leaders, Richard Feynman, put it best back in the 1960s when he said that the first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool. And that's how he taught his students, that's how he practiced science, that's how he thought about the world. That what we are seeing is most likely a narrative. What we are experiencing is most likely a narrative and not the objective truth. So you've got to test it. Don't just stay in the car and say it is a horrible experience out there. Test it. Open the door, get out, feel the rain, whether it's real rain or metaphorical rain, whatever the challenge, get out there, dip your toe in. Let it touch you. Is it as bad as the story that you're telling yourself? And is the alternative route that you're about to take, is that as good as you are trying to convince yourself that it is? Okay? So those are my thoughts. I'm off to complete the rest of my day, whatever that looks like, but I'm jazzed. This was a great learning experience for me yet again. And I'm going to try to keep reminding myself of the narratives that I come up with as I go through my life. I hope there's value in there for you. I love you guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye. In order to move towards goals in a healthy way, we need to make sure that our self-concept and our actual self are only a little bit apart. We want the self-concept to be a slight stretch over what we can actually do right now. Instead of being 100 miles away, let's make it maybe 100 millimeters. Right about there. What do you think? Yeah, there we go.